In a world cluttered with information, where truth is power, Lawin Weekly News stands apart.
We delve deeper, uncover facts, and bring stories to light. From political showdowns and economic triumphs to the pulse of the street and the heart of the community.
We capture the moments that define us, stories that challenge, inspire, and transform.
Tune in live Sundays 8 a.m. Central Standard Time and Sundays 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
These are Lawin headlines for this week. Abbott calls for stronger anti-fraud safeguards in Texas childcare. Harris County officials push back after governor warns of election takeover. Hays County community seeks clarity on pause shelter's finances. Minneapolis removes memorial barrier honoring Renee Good. Senate President confirms no word from long-absent Bato. PACC Texas Austin hosts community coffee gathering in Round Rock. Philippine Consulate General in Houston warns J-1 visa holders versus false promises of U.S. citizenship.
Good day, I am Neska, and tonight we bring you the latest stories in the United States of America, especially in the state of Texas. So sit back, relax, and let Lawin Weekly News be your guide to the news that matters most. Governor Greg Abbott visited Houston on Thursday afternoon to receive an endorsement for re-election from the Texas Municipal Police Association, which represents more than 30,000 law enforcement officers statewide. The event was held at the headquarters of the Houston Police Officers Union, which endorsed Abbott a day earlier. During his remarks, Abbott highlighted his administration's support for law enforcement as he seeks a fourth term as governor in this year's election. Abbott pointed to recent policy measures, including the mandatory denial of bail for people charged with 10 of the most serious felony offenses, as well as state efforts to curb the flow of the fentanyl across the U.S.-Mexico border. He added that fentanyl-related deaths in Texas have dropped by 40%, crediting law enforcement operations. The governor also discussed immigration enforcement initiatives, but did not comment on the fatal shooting of a woman in Minneapolis by an immigration and customs enforcement agent earlier this week, which sparked protests in Houston and other cities. Abbott said cities face consequences when law enforcement funding is reduced. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Monday directed state agencies to strengthen anti-fraud measures in the state's Child Care Services Program, which provides financial assistance for child care to eligible low-income families. In a letter to the Texas Workforce Commission and the Health and Human Services Commission, Abbott instructed agencies to identify high-risk child care providers, increase site visits, and closely review program data to prevent fraud. He also ordered verification of enrollment figures and expanded access to an online portal and hotline for reporting suspected abuse. Abbott cited federal concerns after the Trump administration froze funding to similar programs following allegations of widespread fraud in Minnesota. Abbott said additional safeguards are needed to protect taxpayer dollars. The governor directed agencies to refer confirmed fraud cases to prosecutors and submit a progress report by the end of January, with a final report due Feb 27. Abbott said routine audits and in-person inspections are already conducted, but emphasized that waste, fraud, and abuse will not be tolerated. Houston Mayor John Whitmire's plan to use $30 million from the city's stormwater fund for building demolitions was delayed after officials debated whether the spending is legal. City Controller Chris Hollins said in a memo that the fund, which has a $166 million budget, this year is meant for stormwater infrastructure like ditches and detention basins. He argued that demolishing buildings is unrelated to stormwater management. The mayor's office noted that more than 2,300 buildings have been identified for demolition, with 343 already approved. Public Works Director Randy Mackay said some structures pose a direct nexus to the drainage system, as illegal dumping at these sites can affect stormwater channels. Council members questioned that connection. Councilman Edward Pollard said the link is weak, while Whitmire emphasized that residents care about results more than technicalities. The proposal was postponed until the next council meeting in January. Some members praised it as a creative approach despite funding concerns. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Thursday raised the possibility of state intervention in Harris County elections, citing a report that more than 100 voter registrations were linked to private post office boxes, which can violate Texas election law. County officials pushed back. Harris County Interim Attorney Jonathan Fomboni said Friday that the governor has no authority to take over local elections or pursue criminal charges against local or election officials. He called Abbott's remarks as baseless attack on local control, noting the issue had already been addressed by the county last November after it was raised by State Senator Paul Betancourt. Tax assessor, collector, and voter registrar Annette Ramirez said her office reviewed the flagged registrations, explaining that some post office boxes correspond to residential units and require verification. She added that about a quarter of the flagged addresses were outside Harris County. The Texas Secretary of State's office confirmed in a December 23rd letter that the county took corrective action. State officials said there is no evidence the issue affected ballots or election results. Harris County elections have faced heightened security since 2020, amid new state laws increasing oversight. County Judge Lina Hidalgo accused state leaders of politicizing the issue, saying the county's election system is being targeted for political reasons.
In a world filled with fleeting moments, there's beauty waiting to be captured. My name is Christian, and I specialize in immortalizing your most precious memories. From elegant weddings to vibrant events and timeless portraits, I am here to make every moment unforgettable. Let me tell your story through the lens. Contact me today and let's create magic together.
Hays County residents are calling for greater transparency from the PAWS shelter of Central Texas after the nonprofit nearly closed last fall because of financial problems. PAWS President Greg Sabatini said the organization is now in a stronger position. He blamed the earlier financial crisis on leadership turnover, rising operating costs, and limited fundraising. After word spread about the possible closure, community members stepped in with donations and volunteer support, totaling nearly $500,000 to keep the shelter open. Former board member Cody Bradstreet said she was surprised by the financial troubles, noting that when she left the board in 2023, the shelter appeared financially stable with close to $1 million in cash and investments and no debt. Bradstreet and others formed the PAWS Transparency and Recovery Group, calling for the release of financial statements, board meeting minutes, and an updated list of board members. The group has also asked current board members to resign and filed a complaint with the Texas Attorney General's office in November. Sabatini said resignations would not help and said the board has implemented a turnaround plan, including cost reductions, expanded fundraising efforts, and increased board involvement. The shelter remains open as questions over financial management and accountability continue. The African American Museum in Dallas has received a $250,000 grant from the Communities Foundation of Texas to launch a multi year effort to preserve thousands of archival materials documenting Black history. The funding will support the first phase of a 3 year conservation initiative aimed at stabilizing the museum's collection, which includes photographs, rare books, oral histories, historic documents, and audio recordings. The grant will also help establish the Harry Robinson Jr. Research and Conservation Lab, scheduled to open in February 2026. Museum officials say the collection includes more than 1,000 boxes of fragile materials that were previously stored in conditions that risk deterioration. Phase 1 focuses on relocating those materials to secure temporary storage, rehousing them in acid free containers, and fully documenting the collection before deeper conservation and digitization work begins. To support the effort, the museum has hired interns and archival staff, purchased collections management software, and moved materials to a nearby Fair Park building formerly known as a Natural History Museum. Museum officials estimate the initial stabilization will take about a year, with conservation and digitization continuing in the years ahead. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on Friday declared victory over San Antonio's Reproductive Justice Fund, even though the city had stopped funding out of state abortion travel months earlier. In a news release, Paxton pointed to his lawsuit and the passage of Senate Bill 33, which bans the use of taxpayer money for abortion related activities. He said the city had officially ended abortion tourism programs. San Antonio created the Reproductive Justice Fund in 2023 with an initial $500,000 after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The fund originally aimed to help women pay for travel to obtain legal abortions outside Texas. After a change in state law excluded travel assistance, the city added $100,000 to the fund in April 2025. Paxton filed suit soon after. The lawsuit was dismissed by a district court, but Paxton appealed. Before the appeals court ruled, the Texas legislature passed Senate Bill 33, which Governor Greg Abbott signed into law in June 2025. City attorneys said San Antonio always intended to follow state law and confirmed no fund money would be used for abortion travel. Other parts of the fund may remain, but the city has not clarified its current status. City crews on Thursday removed a barrier surrounding a memorial for Renee Good at the site where she was fatally shot by U.S. Immigration and Customs or Enforcement, or ICE, earlier this week in South Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed that an ICE officer discharged a weapon during a Wednesday morning encounter, killing Good. Federal authorities have not provided a detailed account of the events leading to the shooting. They have not disclosed the nature of the ICE operation, the interaction between the officer and Good, or whether the officer has been placed on leave or reassigned. No other injuries were reported and no criminal charges have been announced. The Department of Homeland Security said internal review processes are underway, though officials have not shared body camera footage, surveillance video, or witness statements, nor offered a timeline for the investigation.
Join us for a captivating new series where Lawin sits down with the trailblazers of the music and entertainment world. Discover the stories behind the faces and voices that shape our culture and community.
We will bring you exclusive interviews with industry legends and rising stars. Behind the scenes insights and get a peek into the creative processes and personal journeys. Artists and performers and their upcoming shows and events.
Stay tuned for more updates and sneak peeks. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel.
Five Democratic led states, California, Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, and New York, have filed a federal lawsuit challenging Trump administration's decision to freeze more than $10 billion in federal funding for social services programs. The attorneys general argue that freeze unlawfully blocks money Congress approved for programs serving low income families, children, seniors, and people with disabilities, and violates the Constitution's separation of powers by overriding a legislative authority. The lawsuit targets funding for programs including the Child Care and Development Fund, temporary assistance for needy families, and the Social Services Block Grant. State officials warned the freeze could disrupt child care, cash aid, and other essential services that help vulnerable populations. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the administration's funding freeze, maintaining the flow of funds while the case proceeds. The court's action ensures that the states continue to receive federal support for these programs during the legal review. The federal government has not yet responded publicly to the lawsuit in court. Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III has made repeated attempts to reach Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who has not attended Senate sessions since November. Amid reports that the International Criminal Court, or ICC, issued an arrest warrant against him. Soto said Friday he sent personal text messages to De La Rosa 2 months ago, including one thanking him after his daughter met De La Rosa's wife, and another regarding the 2026 national budget, as De La Rosa is a vice chair of the Senate Finance Committee. He received no response. De La Rosa stopped attending after Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla said the ICC had issued a warrant. As former national police chief under President Rodrigo Duterte, De La Rosa led the controversial drug war that left thousands dead. Duterte is detained in The Hague, facing trial for crimes against humanity. Senate President pro tempore Panfilo Ping Lacson said he reached out to De La Rosa last year, offering legal advice, joking that he could teach him how to go into hiding, while stressing law enforcement should continue searching for him. So far, De La Rosa's absence has not forced any Senate action, as no votes have required his presence. Japan has criticized China's new restrictions on exporting dual-use goods to the country, calling the move absolutely unacceptable amid rising tensions over Chinese military drills near Taiwan. Chief Cabinet Secretary Minoru Kihara said the restrictions, which target only Japan, differ significantly from international practice and are deeply regrettable. Dual-use items are products, software, or technologies with both civilian and military applications. They include certain rare earths used in drones, computer chips, and other high-tech equipment. China also announced an investigation into imported chlorosilane, a chemical used in semiconductor production, after domestic products or producers complained. According to the Commerce Ministry, prices for the chemical from Japan fell 31% between 2022 and 2024, harming local production. State-aligned media report that Beijing is considering further restrictions on rare earth minerals, though no official measures have been confirmed. Japan has not yet announced any retaliatory actions. The Philippine American Chamber of Commerce, or PACC Texas Austin chapter, successfully held a community coffee gathering on January 10th at Purely Provisions in downtown Round Rock, bringing together members of the North Austin community for a morning of connection and conversation. The event, which ran from 8 o'clock to 9:30 a.m., provided a relaxed space for professionals, entrepreneurs, and community members to engage in meaningful discussions, exchange ideas, and strengthen local ties. Attendees shared insights, offered mutual support, and explored opportunities for collaboration while enjoying coffee in a welcoming setting. PCC Texas Austin plans to continue hosting similar gatherings to encourage community engagement and collaboration across the Austin area. The Philippine Consulate General in Houston has reminded Filipino teachers that the J1 exchange visitor visa is a temporary non-immigrant program and does not lead to U.S. permanent residency or citizenship. The consulate said the J1 program is strictly for cultural exchange and professional development. Participants are required to return to the Philippines upon completing their programs and are subject to the 2-year home country physical presence requirement, which mandates living in the Philippines for at least 2 years before applying for certain U.S. visas. Overstaying beyond the authorized period is a serious violation of U.S. immigration law and may result in deportation or long term bans from entering the United States. The advisory also warned against legal recruiters and unscrupulous agents falsely claiming to offer permanent residency or citizenship through the J1 program. These individuals may demand large sums, encourage overstaying, misuse of immigration status, or filing asylum claims solely to remain in the U.S. The consulate urged Filipino teachers to fully understand the J1 program's purpose and limitations and to seek advice only from licensed U.S. immigration attorneys for long-term immigration options.
For divorce and family law in Texas, Liggett Dizon Law Firm PC will guide you every step of the way.
From initial consultation to detailed review of your case and strategic planning.
We'll sit with you during negotiations or mediations, and represent you in court.
Whether it is a family law, estate planning, or immigration, we will be there to guide through the final steps.
So, leave your legal matters behind you and embrace your future.
You can contact Liggett Dizon Law Firm PC at 346-5454-346 or visit DizonLawFirm.com.
Olympic champions Zheng Qinwen announced Thursday that she will withdraw from the 2026 Australian Open later this month, citing insufficient physical conditioning. The Chinese tennis star, who was a finalist at 2024 Australian Open, lost to world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, 6-3, 6-2. Zheng underwent elbow surgery after a first-round exit at Wimbledon in July and returned to the WTA Tour in September. She later withdrew in the third round of the China Open in Beijing, saying her return to competition had been rushed. Her withdrawal is a setback for fans hoping to see her compete at full strength as Zheng continues her rehabilitation and plans her return to top-level competition later in the season. Alex Yala advanced to the semifinals at the ASB Classic on Friday after defeating Poland's Magda Linette, moving within 2 wins for her first title of the season. The 20-year-old Filipina seeded 4th, broke Linette's serve early in the first set and built a 4-2 lead. She maintained control with consistent baseline play and closed the set in 42 minutes. In the second set, Yala won the first 4 games, allowed Linette to hold serve twice, then secured the final 2 games to seal the victory. This marks Yala's first career win over Linette. Following losses in Abu Dhabi 2024 and Nottingham 2025, she will next face China's Wang Xinyu, ranked number 57 in the semifinals, with both players aiming for their second tour-level singles final. Yala reached this stage after defeating Paris Olympic silver medalist Donna Vekic. In the second round, the Croatia's Petra Marcino in the quarterfinals, drawing attention with her strong start to the 2026 season. Netflix confirmed that Emily in Paris has been renewed for a sixth season. The streaming service shared the announcement on social media with a clip of lead actress Lily Collins blowing out a sixth candle on a croissant, followed by a shot of the Eiffel Tower, signaling that the series will return to Paris. Season 5 ended with Emily Cooper, played by Collins, ending her relationship with Marcelo or Eugenio Francescini, while leaving the status of her relationship with his ex-boyfriend, Gabriel or Lucas Bravo, unresolved. Collins said in a Netflix Tudum interview that Emily's goodbye to Gabriel was graceful and that the character's future with him remains uncertain. Season 5 focused on Emily managing operations at John's Grotto in Rome and navigating her personal relationships and friendships, including her close bond with Mindy or Ashley Park. Sisters Ann Curtis and Jasmine Curtis Smith announced Wednesday that the death of their father, James E. Curtis Smith, describing him as a true patriarch in every sense. In a joint Instagram post, the actresses said their father passed unexpected yet peaceful, but did not disclose the cause of death. James Curtis Smith, 80, was a lawyer and a former officer of the Royal Australian Navy. He was also a World War II veteran. In 2018, Anne Curtis had asked the public for prayers when her father was hospitalized for an undisclosed condition. In 2023, the family celebrated his 80th birthday with a beach trip in La Union. As we brace ourselves for the upcoming weather changes, let's dive into what you can expect day by day. Whether you're planning outdoor activities or just preparing for the week, we've got you covered with the most accurate forecast. Stay tuned with us as we take a closer look at the weather patterns that will impact our region. Remember, here at Lawin Weekly News, we bring you the clearest skies to the stormiest forecasts.
Here is your Lawin Weekly News weather forecast in Houston, Texas. On January 14th, Wednesday, the temperature reaches 65 degrees Fahrenheit and dips to 47 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. Cloudy with a chance of light rain. On January 15th, Thursday, the high is around 63 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Cool and mostly sunny during the day. On January 16th, Friday, the highest temperature is near 62 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Sunny and crisp in the afternoon. On January 17th, Saturday, the temperature peaks at 64 degrees Fahrenheit and falls to 46 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Clear and sunny most of the day.
So those were the latest stories in Texas this week. I am Nesca Centina from Lawin Media Network. Have a great day.
Lawin Weekly News.
Tune in live Sundays 8 a.m. Central Standard Time and Sundays 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Lawin Weekly News.